If you struggle at all with overeating or binge eating, right? Let's say you're perfect all week, then the weekend comes and you completely go off the rails and eat until you're super full and you feel sick physically and mentally, or you're perfect all day and then you do that at night, this video was made for you. I'm gonna go over 3 things that you should absolutely not do unless you wanna keep being frustrated and seeing no progress, and then 3 things that you need to do today that will help you get over binge eating and stop overeating. And if you find today's video valuable or helpful, please hit the like button, comment what you'd like to see in the future, and subscribe for weekly videos. Quick disclaimer before we hop into it, guys. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach. I've helped my clients get over the habits and the mental roadblocks to stop overeating and stop binge eating. But if you've ever thought about it or thought about seeing a therapist or a specialist for this, definitely recommend giving that a go, because they're gonna give you more individualized help than I can just through a YouTube video. So first up, we're gonna go over what not to do. If you keep doing these things, you're gonna keep being frustrated and not seeing progress. So first up is you need to be working on this, so don't ignore it. That's number 1. And since you clicked on this video, you're already doing the right thing, right? You're not ignoring it and putting it to the side, because if you do, it's either just gonna stay the same or get worse. What not to do, number 2, is should you continue to track calories or should you start to track calories? Now, this is not black and white. There's both a yes and no answer to this. So I'm gonna give you guys a real world example of when you should start to track calories or you should continue to track calories despite overeating and binge eating. So one of my online coaching clients, Cody, now a friend of mine, he struggled heavily with binge eating before he became a client of mine. He was eating 1,000 to 1,200 calories per day, and then on the weekend going off track, or if the scale went up, he'd go off track and binge for a week, right? He wasn't using a food scale. He was only using MyFitnessPal sometimes, and he just simply wasn't fueling his body nearly enough. So binging and overeating was inevitable, because if your body runs off calories, and if you severely restrict your body from calories, it's gonna make sure you get that energy somehow by spiking your ghrelin, your hunger hormones, and making you eat. So Cody and I started working together, agreeing to track calories, but most importantly, he agreed to eat the prescribed range of calories that I gave him. And he ended up losing 26 pounds in 3 months, eating nearly 2.5 times what he was before coaching. So almost 3,000 calories. He's now 3 months into coaching, almost ready to transition into a muscle building phase or more of a calorie surplus phase. But if you're in the same situation where you're heavily restricting your calories during the week and then you binge on the weekend and you somewhat track your calories or somewhat track your intake, I'd recommend greatly increasing your calorie intake just for a couple weeks, see how it feels, because even if it's slower progress, if it's more sustainable, it's really gonna be faster in the long run. Now, when should you not track calories or start to track calories or continue to count calories? If you find yourself manipulating or taking advantage of calorie counting. So here's an example. If you know your maintenance is 2,000, or you know your estimated maintenance is 2,000 calories, and you're eating 1,000 to 1,300 calories, you need to take a break. You're not ready to track calories yet. You're manipulating it and you're taking advantage of your knowledge of counting calories. If you take one step back today by not tracking calories or taking a small break, right, 7 or 30 days from not tracking calories, to help build your relationship with food to a better place than it is right now, that's gonna be way more helpful for you in the long run, because after that short break, you'll be able to come back with a better relationship with food, not taking advantage of your knowledge of counting calories, not manipulating anything. And then you'll be able to lose the weight at a slower rate of progress, but you'll be able to lose it forever. Now hopping into the third and final thing of what not to do if you wanna stop binge eating and stop overeating. Intermittent fasting and calorie cycling. Both of these things are super amazing, but if you have trouble with overeating, you're struggling with binge eating, this is definitely something you wanna stay away from until you have control over that. Why? Because intermittent fasting is basically controlled binging in small windows of time. Not as extreme with calorie cycling, right? Calorie cycling, you have high and low days, but that can strike a chord with some of your mental roadblocks and eating habits with binge eating or overeating. So I would definitely stay away from calorie cycling and intermittent fasting until you have control over your overeating habits and your binge eating. Now moving on to the 3 things you need to do if you wanna stop overeating and stop binge eating. Number 1 is gonna be good versus bad food. That whole idea needs to die in your head. There's no such thing. All food is good. Some food has more nutrients. Some foods are more nutrient dense. Other foods are more comforting, more enjoyable. There's no such thing as good foods and bad foods. Some stereotypical good foods might be chicken, salad, vegetables, fruit, right? Some stereotypical bad food might be donuts, pizza, ice cream, but one donut's not gonna make you fat, just like one salad's not gonna make you skinny. What's gonna make you fat? Eating in a calorie surplus for an extended period of time consistently. What's gonna make you skinny? Eating in a calorie deficit for a period of time consistently. That is a fact, and once you accept that as a fact, you can then accept and realize that all food is okay in moderation. If you wanna lose fat, you're not gonna be able to eat all food all the time, but if you wanna be healthy, you're not gonna be able to eat all food all the time. The same thing goes if you wanna gain weight or gain muscle. You're gonna have to eat more calories than it takes to maintain your weight, but that doesn't mean you get to eat as much as you want or you're just gonna get fat. The point I'm trying to make there is no matter whether you like moderation, you like the idea of moderation, or you hate it, it's something that you're gonna have to try to practice if you have fat loss goals, if you have muscle building goals. It's something that you're gonna need to put effort in to practice. Why? Because it's not only gonna help you achieve those goals, but it's gonna help you achieve a good relationship with food and nutrition overall. So how do you apply this to your situation right now? So think about the first 1 to 3, 1 to 5 foods that you consistently binge on or you consistently overeat. For my example, I used to binge and overeat peanut butter. So I'm gonna use peanut butter for my example for this. I would binge completely on peanut butter. How did I fix that? I started having peanut butter every single day, but not the whole jar, not half the jar. 1 to 3 servings every single day. And that's moderation. Having what you're binging on every single day, that can fix it. If that doesn't work, if you keep binging on it and you keep overeating it, then you need to give yourself a challenge, a restriction challenge. Restrict that food group, whatever it is, peanut butter, chips, pretzels, whatever it is. Don't buy it, don't keep it in your house for 7 days, for 30 days, 90 days, whatever that day challenge is, commit to it. Have a challenge and prove to yourself that you don't need that food group. And then after that period of time, try to incorporate it back into your diet if you want to, in moderation. A cool thing about eating the foods that you're consistently binging on every day is that you might get used to it and you might actually end up not wanting those foods anymore. You might eat it every day in moderation and then you might end up not even wanting it anymore, which is super cool, right? You went from completely restricting it and binging on it, completely eating the whole container, the whole bag, whatever it is, and then you have it every day in moderation and then you end up not even wanting it anymore because you tell yourself you can have that if you want it every day. You might not want it anymore. What you need to do, number 2, this one is huge. Just like all these tips, it's not just for now, it's just not for today. This tip is forever. It's called bursting the snowball effect. Let's go over real quick, how does a binge work? So step 1 to a binge is you restrict a certain food group or multiple food groups, or you just severely restrict calories. Step 2, 3 to 6 days into that restriction process, you end up having a little mess up, right? You have a couple bites of that food that you're restricting or a bag of chips, something like that. And then you say, fuck it, and go balls to the wall and have all of it until you're completely stuffed and you feel absolutely sick, both physically and mentally. Step 3 is you go back to restriction, which leads to another binge, and you keep repeating the restrict, binge, binge, restrict, binge, restrict, binge, restrict, binge, restrict. So how do you stop that? You stop doing step 3, the restrict after the binge. If you go back to just eating a normal amount of calories, a normal intake, and eating those foods in moderation, you will not binge again because you're giving yourself access to those foods. You're not saying, oh, I can't have chips because they're bad for me, or I can't have chips because I overeat them. You can have chips anytime you want, any day you want. You can have them right now if you wanted them. If you stop restricting them, you'll stop binging on them. Think about it like this. If you set a personal budget for how much you want to spend in a week and you go over that, are you going to say fuck it and just spend all of your money in your bank account? My guess is gonna be no, right? You're just gonna get back on track and try to stick within the budget next week. The same goes for your nutrition. If you go over your weekly calories or your daily calories, or you have too much of one food than you should have, right, for one day, don't say fuck it and just go balls to the wall and eat as much as you possibly can. Just get back on track and you won't lose any progress. Even if you did go off track for a whole weekend or a whole week even, you're not gonna lose any progress. The worst you could do is stall or slow your progress down a bit. So just get back on track after a binge. Do not restrict. Restriction is gonna lead to another binge. Just get back on track and everything's gonna be perfect. Don't add in extra cardio sessions. Don't restrict any food groups. Don't restrict your calories severely. Just get back on track. Number 3, and what you need to do if you wanna stop binge eating and you wanna stop overeating, is accepting your progress. This one is huge. I don't see anybody talking about this, and it's something that you need to do if you want long-term success with getting over binge eating or getting over overeating. So let's say, for example, that in the last month you binged once a week. So that's 4 times in a month, right? Let's say you start working on it today, and let's say 1 month from today, you only binge once or twice. That's fucking progress. But you might say, I still binged, I still failed, I binged. No, you didn't. You went from binging 4 days per month to binging once or twice a month. You can't tell me going from 4 days of binging per month to 1 or 2 days of binging per month is not progress. That is huge progress. And let's say a month after that, you're binging once a month and then 0 times per month. That is huge progress, and it leads down to no binging at all. So you need to accept and realize your progress when there is progress there to see. And if you need someone to help you do that, make sure you tell someone about your disordered eating habits and that you're trying to fix it, and then make them hold you accountable. Tell them about how many times you binged in the last month and that you're gonna start working on it today, and then tell them how many times you binged this month, if at all. Remember that small mess ups are inevitable and they're going to happen along the way. Real failure is quitting and giving up forever. If you don't give up and you don't quit, you're gonna be successful, I promise you that. Thank you for watching. I really hope you took value out of this video and that you're gonna use it in your everyday life. Remember, there's no good or bad food. Stop restricting after a binge. Burst that snowball, right? Burst the snowball effect, and then accept your progress and accept that there is no such thing as failure if you keep going. If you enjoyed this video and took value out of it, please hit the like button, comment something down below, and subscribe for weekly videos. Also, if you'd like some tips or advice, my DMs on Instagram and my email is always open, so feel free to reach out to me there, and I'd be happy to help you out.